There's a big rock step on my side.
Okay.
I think we're about to find
It's
out.
not too bad.
How long have you been off-roading?
If I really turn it right back, first time been in a four-wheel drive off-roading would have been when I was a kid, 30 years ago. That was in a family friend's 60 series going down the beach at Tiwa. I learned how to drive in a four-wheel drive, so I had a 40 series Troop Carrier, and I took that to the beach a few times. But my first real four-wheel drive is actually this Prado, which I got about 10 years ago. And that sort of started the whole camping, four-wheel driving and wanting to do sort of the bucket list tracks. I remember actually when I was a kid I used to draw. This was after I went four-wheel driving in that friend's car. I used to draw and sketch up little pictures of a 60 series. Yeah, I should try to dig those up.
That's so cute.
A few years later my dad actually bought an 80 series. I should have kept that one. I had a lot of fun in that thing. There's a rust bucket.
What is your favourite thing that we make that you have installed on the FJ now?
So probably recently it'd be the table slide, because the FJ does need more space, more room. The little shelf in the back of the FJ is really handy, even though it's only small. But for just tucking all those little bits and pieces up there, really handy.
What's been your favourite thing to develop and to create at K-On full stop?
Having studied mechanical engineering, I think the things like the diff drops and the recovery points, which pull together a lot of different disciplines and processes, has been really rewarding, and a chance to sort of exercise those technical aspects of designing a product.
What would you say is what you do these days?
I still remember the days when I was the one-man band and it was a little side hustle, and I used to do everything from designing and manufacturing and packing and doing all the sales. But if I really think about what I do nowadays, it's nurturing and supporting and increasing our capabilities and capacity to manufacture things, because I really want to encourage the next generation of makers and tinkerers to be able to do what I do, because it's fun. It's in our blood to hold on. it's in sort of our DNA to make stuff, and myself and Lane, my dad, have always been manufacturing and making things.
So we've talked a lot recently about being outsiders. What does that term mean to you?
The most obvious one is having a connection and an affinity and a preference to be outdoors. Just slowing down and getting out there and chasing waterfalls and sunsets like we all do. Getting outside of your comfort zone. So when you go four-wheel driving or camping or chasing those tracks, there's moments where you have to sort of man up a bit and dig deep and actually go for it. You can't take everything with you while you're four-wheel driving and camping. Thinking outside the box and doing things a bit differently, because sometimes you just have to. So I've got a sense of curiosity. I want to find out what's on the other side of that hill, what's down that track, and how far or whether I can get up that hill. So for me, that's what being an outsider is.
So we've been talking about finding community as an outsider. Has that been true for you?
Yes. So I probably wouldn't have done half the trips that I did if I didn't meet Timothy. He works in sales at K-On, and he didn't always work for us. I met him at the Land Cruiser Club. He was talking about going to Cape York, and at the time I didn't think I had the experience or the setup at all to do anything like that. But things happened and his crew dropped out, and it ended up being just us and Tim going up to Cape York. So my first big trip, and one of the most memorable.
You're indicating.
Oh yes.
What's been your most memorable adventure to date?
That's a hard one, because they've all been fantastic. But I think Cape York, because the kids were so young, things went right, went wrong, but it's one of those trips you'll talk about for the rest of your life. And if I'm allowed to have a second, it'd be Tasmania. Got ourselves stuck on the Balfour track, and that allowed us to meet up with some people that allowed us to do the Climbys track, 2 tracks we weren't going to do.
There's a big rock step on my side.
I don't remember if I should be going into that one or not. Okay.
I think we're about to find
It's
out.
not too bad. We lifted a rear wheel.
I think your rock slider just got to work.
I'm a sidestep. I don't have sliders
Oh, you don't have
anymore.
sliders?
I used to.
Oh, bugger. Okay, well, your sidestep might have.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for our fellow outsiders?
Those things that you remember the most and the stories that are worthwhile retelling usually start from the fact that something's outside of your control or outside what you've planned to do. My piece of advice would be to lean into those opportunities or challenges. We didn't plan to do the Krebs track in the rain, but that will stay with us forever.
Yeah, that looked epic.
Whether it'll encourage us to do more or haunt us for the rest of our lives.
So these days you're a big tinkerer. Have you always been like that? Or did that start somewhere in your youth?
Again, it's that little curious bug that I have. Trying to figure out how things work, or just getting fascinated by a mechanism, seeing if I can make something cool. Every Sunday used to be a ritual for us to go to the flea market, the Trash and Treasure, and used to buy stuff that didn't work, or did work, or just need maintenance. So from there, just learning how to fix things, how to troubleshoot, getting an appreciation for things that are really well designed compared to something that's made to a budget and is really cheap and doesn't last.
Yeah.
You really get a sense of appreciation when you can just tell the designer or the person who made this thought about it and put some real care factor into it.
Yeah.
And I hope we do that with our products as well.
What do you think getting outside and four-wheel driving has taught you most about yourself?
We're all a lot more capable than we think we are. If you just work the problem and work through what's on hand, you generally come away with a good result. Being outside and going on a prolonged trip with your friends and your family and your kids, I think that's created something very special for our relationship. The fact that rarely do you actually spend
Quality
24
time.
hours with, whether it be your spouse or your kids, because they're off at work or off at school, and being far enough away that you're not on your devices, on your screens. So I'm really grateful that we had the opportunity to take those trips. We used to do a big trip at least once a year, and in our sort of peak of camping, we'd be camping almost twice a month.
What has surprised you the most in building an off-road brand?
I think it's the actual support from the community. I still really enjoy reading people's reviews and meeting people at the shows and so forth. And some of the things I do, maybe I discount a bit and don't realise how how valuable or how sort of respected it is that what we do and how we approach things. So having that support is really cool.